everyone, it's Hairyfrankfurt, and today I'm going to be telling you the story time of the first time I got drunk. I'm so excited for this video. It looks like you guys are loving my story times. If you love story times, I do have an entire playlist of them, which I will link in a card and in the description. And if you love story times and aren't subscribed yet, then what are you doing? It's free, it's easy, just click the button that says subscribe and you will become subscribed. Okay, so you may or may not know, if you're used to my channel, that I've been drinking for, you know, a minute. A little bit. I do also have a series here on my channel where I read my diary. If you like the idea of that, you can check that out. But in my diary, I occasionally talk about, you know, drinking and being drunk and, you know, that sort of stuff. Before I get into this video, I really got to say this. I do not condone breaking the law. I do not condone drinking under the age. In Australia, the legal age of drinking is 18. I was early though. I first drank at about 13. I'm not saying you should do this, and if you've watched any of my other videos, you would know that I make story times and I tell you guys the stupid mistakes that I've made so that you don't have to make the same mistakes that I do, okay? Learn from my mistakes. I have taken a while, but I've learned from my mistakes as well, and hopefully you guys can. I was in either my first or second year of high school. I can't quite remember whether it was my first year, meaning I was 12 turning 13, or if I was in my second year, meaning I was 13 turning 14. I also can't remember if this was winter or summer or anything. Maybe it was summer? No, I really don't know. I was having a sleepover with my friend Jez. Okay, so I was living at my family's house. We were all still together. We were a close-knit, happy family. My dad was taking my younger brother to a WWE wrestling event that was happening in Sydney, and my mum was working late on this particular evening, so I invited my friend Jez to stay the night with me so we could just hang out and like do whatever. Now, here's the thing. We had not planned on drinking. We did not plan to drink. We did not think about drinking. It was not a thing that we were thinking about at the time. I mean, it was, but it wasn't like, we need to find a way to get our hands on alcohol so we can drink. Like, we weren't at that stage yet. We were sitting around and we were a little bored. I think we were watching TV or just talking, and we're like, let's go get my dad's laptop, because my dad had a laptop from work that he would keep in his work bag. Sometimes he'd bring his work bag to work with him, but obviously he didn't this time because he took my brother to the WWE after work. I knew that it was sitting just in his doorway, holding his door open, because he likes to sleep with the window open and a closed door and whatever. Stupid, pointless piece of information that you now know. So I knew that my dad's bag was there, and normally his laptop is in it. So I went to the bag and I noticed it was heavy. I open it up and the laptop isn't in there. We find a bottle of vodka that was half drank. Don't ask me why it was in my dad's work bag. So we pull out the vodka and we're like, well, let's try it. Let's try this. I mean, you know, what's the worst that could happen? And my mum at the time always had lemon lime and bitters. Is it lemon lime bitters? Like the natural fizzy drink in the fridge. So we're like, let's try this. So we tried a little, I think we tried a little bit, like just from the, not from the bottle, like we poured it into the lid and we're like, this is not fun. So we poured ourselves some drinks. And by the way, there was half a bottle. There was half, like the bottle was half full. We're like, let's just try some. And so we start drinking. We start pouring, you know, a little bit in with this lemon lime bitters, and we're like, this tastes like shit. It tastes like lemon and nail polish remover. So we pulled out the sugar and we put sugar in it as well, and we started stirring it up. And it was not fun. It was not fun at all, but we ended up drinking enough to get intoxicated. And I think it was at this stage, this is honestly, the reason I remember this story is because my friend Jez came up for my birthday a couple of weeks ago, and we were talking about this. This is so funny. This whole story is just hilarious. So we're drinking the vodka with the lemon lime bitters and the sugar, which sugar doesn't dissolve in cold liquids, so you have to mix it up, and then it ended up like sweet nail polish at the, it was just not good. It was so bad. So we're drinking this vodka and we end up being intoxicated. We were watching this MTV show with, and I wish I knew the name of it, because when I explain the episode we were watching, it's kind of like, what? But it was an MTV show where there's like a Confucius-like thing and these contestants, and it's like a reality TV show, and it was all guys and it was about your nuts. And so one of the challenges in this reality TV show was that they would like pull on their nuts every time they got an answer wrong or something. I don't know. It was a reality TV show with Confucius in it, and they badly dubbed it. So there's that. Not relevant except for the fact that I find it hilarious that that was a TV show that we were watching while we were drinking alcohol while neither of my parents were home. I can't remember at what stage I decided we needed to put the vodka back, but somewhere along the way I obviously decided that we needed to put the vodka back because otherwise we would get caught out, because there was half a bottle and there wasn't half a bottle when we were done. So I was like, let's put it away. I put it back in my dad's room, and then we started doing, I don't know what we were doing, but I decided okay, so my friend Jez was on the phone to her boyfriend who was at a friend's place. It must have been a Friday night or something. And she was on the phone to them, and she was just walking around, because when she's on the phone, actually when most people are on the phone, they walk like a lot. And she was just talking, and she was drunk, and I was like, oh my god, this is how I'm gonna get famous. So I put on high heels and I decided to walk outside because 13-year-old me, who was drunk, decided that wearing high heels and walking outside would make me famous. I don't know why I thought this, but I did, and I left the front door open. I'll never forget the confusion of like, oh my god, a dog, and then realizing it was my dog, and then seeing Jez walking around, and I was trying to get my dog or something. I mean, this is a long ass time ago, you guys. I was like 13. This is like 10 years ago. So I'm trying to like walk around and get famous in my high heels, and then I realize that my dog has just run out of the house. So then I'm running after her, and I lose a shoe in the process. And then I see Jez in the street as well, and she's like, oh, and she sees my shoe, and instead of picking it up and giving it to me, she just kind of like stands it up, because she's like, oh, that's Kate's shoe, and just puts it right, you know? And then and then I was walking up to one of my neighbors' houses. I was gonna ask them if they had seen my dog, because I was trying to get her and take her home, and I didn't realize that like alcohol changes your view of people, and I was like, oh my god, who's that young person in my neighbor's yard? And the closer I got, I realized that's not a young person, that's your neighbor. Like, that's actually who that was. Like, I was seeing my neighbor in my neighbor's yard. It wasn't a young person, but I was so convinced that it was a young person. So I asked him where my dog is, whatever. We end up getting inside, and I think Jez had ended the phone call at one stage, and we're all inside. Well, the both of us and the dog are inside, and I'm in the living room. So the house that I was living in at the time, the front door was like a hallway, and you could see the living room and the dining room, and then the kitchen, and then another living area. And then there was like Dad's bedroom, which is where I'd put the vodka, my bedroom, my brother's bedroom, and the bathroom, okay? And she was in my bedroom, so hallway, my bedroom, front door, okay? And I'm in the living room, and I'm looking up the hallway, and I see my friend Jez crawling from one side of the hallway, one side. No, she was still on the phone. She was still on the phone. She's crawling, because both of us kept falling over, by the way. Probably should have mentioned that. We were falling over a lot. She's crawling on all fours from this bedroom to the bedroom on the other side, and she doesn't think that I'm gonna see her, and I did. And she was trying to get more vodka, and I was like, no! So I went barreling down the hallway, and I tackled her, and then we're just like laughing hysterically on the floor, just entwined in this weird fucking like tackle thing. I don't know what happened, but then she was still on the phone, and I don't know what happened exactly, but apparently she said to someone on the phone that my tongue was wet. So then this massive rumor came out that we were sleeping together, which, I mean, no. By the end of the night, we somehow managed to finish the bottle of vodka. Between the two of us, it was half a bottle of vodka. We finished it, between the two of us being 13. And yeah, so we finished all of that alcohol. I'll never forget when my mum got home and we were making pizzas, and Jez dropped a glass, and she was like, because I was like, we need to act really sober. And I felt like I was pulling it off pretty well. And I don't think my mum knows this story, by the way. I don't know if my dad knows this story either. I don't know if either of my parents know the story, but you know, here we go. The truth comes out now. My mum comes home and she's like helping us make these pizzas, and they're like, make yourself a pizza thing. And Jez burnt hers, and she dropped a glass, and she looked at me mortified, like thinking she'd been caught out, like, oh no, your mum knows we're drunk now because I broke this glass. And then she just kind of says, she notices that she's not getting into trouble, and she's like, oh, I'm just so clumsy tonight, because my mom was like, oh, don't worry about it, it's fine, like, you know, people drop things, and she's like, I'm so clumsy tonight, just super robotic, like super obvious. I don't think my mom knows, I don't know. We make these pizzas, we burn them, then we eat them, we go to bed, and we just pass the fuck out. I can't remember a lot of this night, which is understandable. Like, first time drinking, drank a lot, got real drunk, and yeah, and then my dad, this is really sad, my dad a couple weeks later, or a couple days, I don't know when, he comes into my room and he says, hey Kate, I saw what you did with my vodka, and I freaked out because I was like, oh shit, and he's like, thank you for pouring it out. That's what I did, yeah. I mean, I guess it makes sense. Like, a child sees alcohol in their parents' work bag and then goes, you shouldn't be drinking and you shouldn't be drinking at work, pours it out. But I just disposed of it more thoughtfully, you know? I don't know why I find this story so fucking hilarious, but like, I think the whole, oh my god, this is how I'm gonna get famous, and like putting high heels on and walking outside, and then confusing my neighbor for like a young man. I don't know, like, it was really, I thought it was like someone my age. It was just so funny. And I'll never forget Jez's face while she's crawling. She's trying to be so inconspicuous, and it's like, you're walking along, like there's nowhere for you to hide. There's literally no, it's a hallway, and I could see straight down the hallway to her crawling from one side to the other. It was just the most obvious thing ever, and then she sees me and she's like, shit, and like scrambling at the door trying to open it. She couldn't even open the door. It was great. It was really, really quite a great night, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, the pizza wasn't great, and neither was the alcohol really, but it's a great memory, and I think it makes for a great story. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you like story times, then I have an entire playlist which you will see on the screen here. I also have a Dear Diary series which you guys might enjoy, where I read diary entries. Yeah, I think that's kind of all for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe. Again, there'll be a button around here, and you guys will see me in the next one, which might be tomorrow, might not be, I don't know. I just don't know anymore. Thank you guys so much for watching. Bye!